Hi, it's Laura here from Embercombe. We're here today on a beautiful spring day. We thought we'd come down to the lake and talk about some of the things we're thinking about how we're going to rewild our lake, our pond. So this is our lake. If you've been to Embercombe before, you might have even swum in the lake. And we've had a lot of rain down here in Devon in the UK over the last few days. So you can see, if you look at the water, it's very turbid, which means it's quite brown, it's not very clear. The water levels are really high where we've had a lot of water coming in from our brook. And we're hoping you might catch sight of one of our carp that live in the lake. So many years ago, carp were put in this lake with the intention that we would eat them, or the community at Embercombe would eat them. But carp are not, or the carp that are in this lake are not native to this watercourse. So, and they are a predatory fish, and they grow quite big. So some of the carp are, I don't know the weight, but sort of a good about 30 to 50 centimetres long. And they will feed on the other invertebrates and small fish and frog spawn and tadpoles that live in our lake. So they're not very good for the biodiversity of the lake, because they tend to dominate and they get bigger and bigger and eat all of the resources in the lake, which would make it more diverse. So because they were introduced into this ecosystem, they don't have a natural predator, and we do not fish them out and eat them at this time. So they are just, the number of carp and the size of the carp is getting greater. So one of the things we've been discussing here at Embercombe, and you know, we have not sure whether we'll go forward with this, but one of the things we've been discussing is how we might remove some of the carp from the lake. And I've been looking at, you know, natural ecosystem. So many people relate to the story of a bear eating salmon out of its habitat. And actually, bear, when they take the salmon out, they often will eat the head of the salmon and not very much of the body, because the brain is really rich in all the energy and oils. We've got some birds joining us in the lake. And so we were wondering about whether you could replicate that process and actually take some of the carp out of the lake, but rather than just removing them and taking them away, is to put them on the land and allow the nutrients of the carp to go back into the land. And also the decay of the body of the carp would attract other animals and invertebrates and provide a resource. So maybe replicating that natural process. So when the bears eat the salmon and they take the head away, the rest of the carcass is left on the land, and a whole host of other animals are reliant on that. So one of the things we talked about is, could we have a rewilding activity where we take some of the carp out and allow their life cycle to be completed on the land, and then we could monitor what other invertebrates or birds or mammals might come and feed on the carcass. There's also then a whole life cycle within the necrobiome of that rotting and decaying matter as it breaks down and goes back into the land. So that's one of the conversations we've been having around rewilding our lake, and we would hopefully then see, as a result, with less of the predator pressure in the water, more biodiversity, more invertebrates, more dragonflies, more frog spawn, more newts, toads, and all of the other creatures that then feed on those, the birds, the bats, the snakes, and everything that then feeds on that bioabundance within the ecosystem. So watch this space as we unfold that part of our rewilding.